So we're here at Teales Lookout at Coonyam Range. This is the proposed site for an emergency communications tower that is of course critical infrastructure. However, it really matters ecologically, culturally, where these sort of infrastructures occur. In this instance, the ecological assessment has written this place off as regrowth, which would mean that it was once a forest and that it was logged, and that's just not the way that this ecology is formed. It's formed in a dense clay, it's quite deep into the soil, and it's a heathland, it's a montane heathland, and in this instance, in this particular location, this is what's called a unique plant community, which means this occurs nowhere else in the entire world. It only lives on Teales Lookout, this unique assemblage of plants. We can't be losing things like that on an ecological level at a time when we're losing so much in a big span across the world, and then on a level of biodiversity where we're looking at the potential to lose species and assemblages of species to industrial infrastructure. We really as a community have got to find a way to input into the process. So part of that for us is asking for that assessment to be done correctly, since it's been done incorrectly, since it's been done in a misleading way. We want to see it presented correctly by National Parks and Wildlife Service and by the REF of the reports of the proponent who wants to put the tower in. Wildflowers that grow rarely anywhere else. If we're not protecting our wildflowers, we are going to lose them. A tower could be easily positioned in another location, but in this location we're seeing extremely unique plant community representation. It doesn't exist anywhere else. They can't be regenerated or replanted anywhere else. This is also a sacred site for multiple Indigenous tribes, multiple First Nations people that would come and meet along the boundary line on Coonyam Range. So multiple Indigenous stakeholders find this to be extremely an important sacred site that's a big part of what it means for us as a community to have cultural continuance. We want to see our First Nations people experience a connection to country, and if we're lucky, be able to share that with us and have that spread into our community as a whole, so that we're united and interconnected and able to stave off the intensity of cultural loneliness that we might feel when our world could be reduced to shopping malls and suburban spaces. We want to feel like our wild places are quiet. We want to feel like we can have a view that's so distant that we can't hear what it is that we can see in the distance. This right here is an example of the unique sedge, this clumping sedge that in this region, in this whole region, it lives only here on Teales Lookout in Coonyam Range. So it doesn't exist across the whole of Coonyam Range, it just exists in this small locality. And what's unique about this clumping sedge is it doesn't appear again in the landscape until Sydney. So there's something that occurred in a unique confluence, a very lucky confluence between botany and geology that allowed for this particular community of plants to come together and grow here and thrive here in this one particular spot, and it exists nowhere else. So yeah, very important, the representation of this sedge in this landscape in the Byron Shire. This site is the home of a very special geology. The clay that's here, the ochre-coloured clay, comes in red, yellow and white, and a pink and a purple in between where they're mixed. And this has great geological significance for its uniqueness and also cultural significance as well. So there are protocols around which of these ochres can be used and taken from the site. And the colour array is representative of the iron, the sulphur, the calcium in the soil, the red, the yellow, the white. And it's really quite unique, special and intrinsic to the kind of botany that's here. So the botany that's here is evolved specifically and directly with the geology, with the earth, with the soil, with this unique soil type. And they thrive and live together. And I think given that the cultural significance of these ochres is so profound and so prominent, and these people haven't been adequately consulted with, that we all rely upon for this knowledge, for this incredible history that can be part of our incredible future, that needs to be addressed and that needs to be considered when sites like this are looked at.
First people, you mean?
Yeah, First Nations
who would have
people.
used this for daubing their bodies when they danced and met together on a corroboree or initiation and so on.
Yeah, and there continues to be protocols around which of these ochres you can take from the site. It's quite a significant interception of cultural values, and at a time when we're trying to, as a community, as a nation, understand and interrelate with our Indigenous community, how is it that, again, the very things that connect them to this earth are being threatened? The cultural continuance is such an important part of the future that we all deserve, and cultural continuance requires a respect of country, and in particular a respect of sacred pieces of country, of which this is an incredible and unique example that many know of, and sadly many didn't know that this part was under threat. And now that we know, things need to be altered here. These sacred places need to be treated with the sacredness that they deserve, so that future generations of all people can experience them, enjoy them, and know what it is to have this diversity, know what it is to have these cultural stories. We can't let them lose that just for a telco tower.